All right. Well, it is Thursday, so as everybody probably knows by now, it is time for the CarrGuy and SixFan show here on YouTube. And of course, this is a joint collaboration, so I'm half of that equation, and that makes me SixFan, or Straight SixFan is my channel where I like to focus on budget-minded, relatable, creative builds, a little something I like to call offbeat hot rodding, and like I said, that's only half the equation, so we'll turn it over to Jason.
And yes, my name is Jason, and I am the car guy of the CarrGuy and SixFan show. So, welcome to the show, guys. My show is basically concentrates on me and my business of selling used cars here in Eastern Canada, just a small town, little dealership. Uh, we focus on repairs, shop updates, and of course, I've got some project cars that we are doing some work on as well. So, thanks for jumping in here and checking each other out in the chat. I see we've got quite a few people in here already. And guys, don't be afraid to check each other's channels out because that is exactly what this show is all about. It's about building channels and supporting each other as part of the automotive YouTube community.
And also, if you guys don't mind just taking a minute right now, if it's handy for you anyway, go ahead and click the share button, send it out over Twitter, Facebook, whatever's easiest for you. If you can, we certainly would appreciate that. Get the party, invite your friends' friends, and we'll have a pretty good time in here. But did also want to just say hi to a couple of people who have already in the chat. Looks like we're up to 11 about now. SNR Motoring, Ignited Garage, One Man Shop, Eford Garage, Novataz, For I Am Caper, and Corey Pratt of Craving Cars signing in under his personal account. Welcome, everybody, for joining in. We know we've warned you guys a little bit about this. We're coming to the close of season 1 here in the next week or so. But we've certainly enjoyed every episode, every edition of season 1. But again, just in case this might be your first time jumping in, like Steve Miller, that was he's the guy who has Bullet Fairmont. I did a highlight or a feature of his car a couple weeks ago. If this is maybe your first time, the reason we did this is to help grow our community, to help grow smaller YouTube automotive channels, try to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Try to give you some tips and tricks on how to navigate this YouTube world, as well as talk a little cars. And so we'll start there. We'll start with some automotive car talk. Sometimes Jason and I both have topics to talk about, and sometimes we pick one topic to both talk about. So it looks like this week I'll sort of introduce the one topic, and Jason, I'll be curious to get your input on this. I think
in my defense, it's been a very, very busy week. And when it come time to look at the agenda to see what we were going to be talking about, I saw that Grant had a very good topic of discussion. And the lazy part of me said, I'm going to let him do all the work. But also the busy side of me said, I just didn't have time to find something great to talk about. And this is probably just going to have to do.
Well, and honestly, this just gives us an opportunity to have a longer conversation about one thing. So, with no further ado, the big topic, of course, we've covered it on previous episodes, how Ram trucks started to outsell Chevy in the first quarter of the Silverado. Similarly, the Camaro sales are seeing a similar thing where the Challenger has usurped it for the number 2 spot. And so there's always been this classic debate, between the Mustang sales that's still number 1, but Mustang, then Challenger, and Camaro. Camaro was a struggle for a while for GM, so much so that they stopped making it. But if you take all the pony cars in that segment, but the Dodge Charger, which obviously is a whole different class of vehicle, it's a full-size car, 4 doors, all that. It actually outsells all 3 of the pony cars individually. And so it got me thinking, and what really hits close to home for me is when Ford's kind of basically said, we're not going to make cars outside of the Mustang anymore. I think they're missing the boat. And I think the Dodge Charger sales points to that specifically. And it got me thinking, and I know I've seen some people do videos on YouTube, like there's like those people like to buy the big ass Mercedes sedans, a lot of power, big 4-door car. I think there's a place in the market for that. So it got me thinking sort of as a what if. So what if Chevy decides to pull the plug on the Camaro because its sales continue to hurt, but then decided to compete in that Charger market? That was sort of my what if. And then meanwhile, they've been saying from the Buick perspective how they've been trying to appeal to a younger generation, and they just are striking out left and right. First off, if you want to appeal to a lower or a younger demographic, you're gonna have to lower the price tag, step one. But you got me kind of thinking like what they did in the '80s with the Grand National was sort of that same thing. What does the 2019 version of the Grand National look like in that four-door full size rear wheel drive platform? And I got to thinking, what if they brought back like a high performance V8 car and they called it like the Skylark or something? That's kind of where I wanted to take the conversation tonight. Jason, what do you think? I know that was a lot. I just blabbed on for a long time, but what are your thoughts on this rear wheel drive four-door sedan V8 sedan market?
Well, like a lot of things, I'm 100% on board with your way of thinking on that because I truly believe that Dodge, with their performance brand, is basically what Dodge is becoming now, is with their four-door Charger and their two-door Challenger, have kind of really soaked up the niche in the V8 kind of, affordable power car area. GM got out of that when they got out of the Impala SS when they had the V8 in it. Um, but they also kept it front wheel drive. So I think there is an opportunity for, Buick or Chevrolet, whichever brand, to kind of reiterate that the G8 concept of cars could still be there. The problem with the G8, and the reason why we don't have G8 today, in my opinion, is like you said, the cost was astronomical to appeal to the younger market. And when I say younger market, I'm talking people, even my age and younger. So from that middle age down, those are the people that you need to appeal to these affordable performance cars to, that aren't just your Honda Civics and your, you know, whatever type cars that the younger crowd seems to be going for. So that's where Pontiac came into play, even way back in the early '60s, when they come out with the GTO and some of these cars. That it was that market that fell between the Chevrolet brand and the Buick brand that fulfilled a niche. They were all the same car. They just looked a little bit different. They had a little bit different power plant, but that was something that they did. I think that Ford with just the Mustang and Chevrolet with just the Camaro. I say just the Camaro because I do believe that the Corvette is going to price itself right out of the market. But they're just trying to they're not reaching far enough, I don't believe. If Dodge can outsell them, then that tells me they're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Pontiac got the axe, I mean, I think we all could see the writing on the wall for, brands like Plymouth, in the early 2000s. But when Pontiac finally got the axe, I always struggled with, I mean, I guess the differential between Cadillac and Buick, and then Buick to Chevrolet, and then Chevrolet to Pontiac, it seemed like the gap between Buick and Cadillac was a lot closer. And it seemed like, Pontiac always was that just performance oriented brand out of their family. And Chevy was sort of like the Swiss Army knife, kind of please everybody. I mean, Chevy's Chevy. I was like, why did you get rid of Pontiac but keep Buick? That never made sense to me. But it's like now because they did that, because they committed to that, and again, I don't know why they're trying so hard to make Buick appealing to the younger age. I mean, I do get it, but it seems like such an uphill battle. I feel like you have to do something super drastic. I mean, the Regal, when they did the Regal a couple of years ago, they were sporty, cool little cars. But I remember when we were looking into my wife's Taurus, and I just looked at the price point for the used, and I always buy used, but looking at the price point for a Regal, I was like, why would I spend X amount of dollars more for a smaller car when I could buy we had a Ford Taurus is what we just got rid of. Just couldn't justify it. And so that's where I just really want to see, put your money where your mouth is. If you want to do something to attract the younger crowd, get crazy with the performance just once and on one car Buick, just like you did with the Grand
Yeah,
National.
and it doesn't matter what you call it. And it doesn't matter what it is. You could call it a whatever, something silly name, but if it's a Buick, make it look cool, make it go fast, and make it affordable. Those are really the three key points that you've got to do. And Caper says corporate muscle is really coming to an end. And as much as I hate to admit that, I truly believe that is the case. Maybe Ford and Chevrolet, or GM as a whole, are going to come out with a performance truck base that may take over that sedan market, right? Maybe they get into the two-wheel drive, shorties again. I don't know. Who knows what they're looking at, but there's definitely got to be some performance built there.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of comments in the chat, which it looks like there's a good discussion going on over there as well. But kind of alluding to, Chevy has the SS, which is like a rebadged hold and flip the driver's side kind of a gig. Yeah, yeah, you've already got the platform there. Just do like you did in the old days. Just figure out how to make it a little more Buick and just use that car. I mean, I think that would be perfect too. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of an interesting topic of, like I mentioned, the Regal versus buying our Taurus. Well, you may remember from last week's episode, we did sell our Ford Taurus last week, which kind of brings me to our next segment, our channel updates. And I'm in the middle of a car hunt for replacing a car for my wife. And we are definitely searching for a Mustang. And there had been, as we started our search, I had been looking a lot into the S197 generation versus the S550 platform. Much like any auto manufacturer, those are just their factory engineered designators as they're coming up with new concepts. That's just how they, like a JK versus a JL Jeep. It's a similar thing there. And so as I've been test driving, we test drove quite a bit on Monday. Had a day off of work and been spending a lot of time kind of comparing the two generations as well as the V6 versus the EcoBoost, what feels right. And I got to be honest, I've been a 3.7 liter Ford Cyclone V6 Mustang admirer for a long time. The power potential in those, I think, is just great. But after having test driven both, I think I've kind of, those EcoBoosts are a lot of fun. And I think that's kind of where I've set my sights on at the moment, and my wife seems to prefer those as well. We also like the premium package of the 2015 and newer, but that's why actually you haven't seen any content from me. That's been consuming a lot of our evenings as well. Jason, what's new with your channel?
Well, I guess for us, for me, if you guys saw the video that came out today, we did some 0 to 60 and some quarter-mile pulls in Mexico. Yeah, I bet you didn't realize how close Canada was to Mexico. But anyways, we did some of those polls with the channel, and there's a lot of guys that were commenting on how surprised they were. Some felt that if I did a few small changes that I could make a little bit more out of it, and I agree. There's a couple little things that we're going to try and do to it as well. So there's going to be more of that, more tweaking, and more of that. That video already has, I think, over 130 views. It only went up at lunchtime today, so real popular. Guys are really liking that. Saturday's video, the normal upload that goes up on Saturday mornings at 6 o'clock Eastern time, is the announcement that everybody has been waiting for regarding the demise of Bubbles. So guys, make sure that you tune into that. It's a very entertaining video because it does do some flashbacks to the history of Bubbles, and I put a lot of effort into putting this video together. So I hope you guys stick around for that. You certainly are not going to want to miss it because it's coming. But I need your guys' help, so make sure you watch the video.
Yeah, and I've got a little bit of insider information on that, kind of tip of the iceberg type of things. And trust me, guys, you don't want to miss that. And yeah, we're all going to have to kind of help pitch in with Jason. So there's going to be a good interactive way to kind of get to see that payoff. So one of the other things, and I kind of dipped into this talking about my channel update, is channel struggles, or we like to do either tips and tricks, growth hacks, or sometimes just talk about small YouTuber struggles. And for me, being as busy as I've been recently, you noticed I missed my regular upload schedule. I didn't hit Sunday or Tuesday night this week. I usually like to at least get one out a week. Wasn't able to do that, but for me, one of the struggles has been watching everybody's stuff. Like, obviously, if 1,000 people subscribe to me, I subscribe to at least half of that. I think I'm close to 500. We all know we're not going to be able, nobody can humanly possibly consume that many channels anyway. And not everybody produces regular stuff, and then sometimes people put out stuff you're just not interested in at the time or into. But what my struggle right now is just trying to keep those relationships alive, because I care about people's channels, but sometimes I either don't have the time to watch it or it's just bad timing. Like, yeah, that really doesn't interest me, and I'm going to go watch something else. So I've found that to be a struggle. But the other side of that is if you want to grow a channel, I do need to be probably investing more time into my production side than my consumption side. But there's just that balance because I do want to see what's going on out there as well. That's kind of my just struggle for the week, just being real about it. Jason, hopefully you've got something something more uplifting to talk about.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from because just because because we put our lives out there on YouTube for you guys to watch doesn't mean that our regular lives get put on hold. They don't. Regular life happens. So I find myself sometimes too going to play the catch-up game like tonight. Um, Josh Schneider, I haven't watched any of his last 3 videos, so tonight I come home and while I was eating supper, I was catching up. I watched 3 videos in a row. Uh, all the small channels that I watch, I try and make sure that I get in there and interact with you guys as well. I don't always get there in a timely fashion, but I do my best. So the little growth hack that I have is something that I would hope that would help you guys boost your channels and boost your views as well. Is I want to talk about your channel, your video intro. So when somebody first clicks onto your channel, and they see your about page and all those little tabs, but if you don't have an intro video, you got to get one. I've got one on mine, and my only downfall to that is it was a video I put together almost a year ago. So it's something that if you're going to put a video um, intro up on your page, that you got to keep it updated once in a while. It doesn't have to be a full feature length film. Mine's only a minute. Actually, I think it's a minute and 1 second. It could be less than that even. Just something that's going to grab that person's attention to make them smash that like button, that 10, 15, 20 seconds that you've got their attention when they first click on your page. So speaking of subscriptions, one of the things that Grant and I have done over the last several weeks is rather than give you guys an update on how close to 1,000 subscribers we are, well, we've both got there. So we're happy about that. We're thankful for you guys for helping us get there. But we've decided that now it's time to take channels who follow us that are very, very close to that 1,000 subscriber mark and try and get you guys, if you're not already a part of them and their group, to jump in there. So the last several videos that I've been pumping out, I've been pushing people to go over to Uzo Lou Garage, which he's currently at 919 subscribers. So if you haven't hit him up yet, go out and check out his channel and make sure that you follow what he's doing. He does a lot of great detailing videos, so car detailing and different products he features. So check him out and help get him to 1,000 subscribers. Grant, who do you got that we're trying to keep up with today?
Yeah, and it's as even though this was a great idea that we came up with, we found it hard to. We try to set some like ground rules, like they should probably be in the 900s. And so ideally, it'd be nice to like cycle through and talk about different channels each week, but obviously the market's kind of a small segment. But I was able to find someone different this week than last week because I didn't want to just always say the same people. But Grinding Garage, which was actually one of my channel shout outs a few episodes back or a few live streams back, is sitting at 954 subscribers. And again, this is a kind of a cart building channel. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Grinding Garage's channel, and you're into the go-karts, he is a younger kid, I think still in high school. So it's not like his fabrication skills are great, but like I said a couple episodes ago, if I was doing this stuff in high school, I'm jealous of what he's able to do in high school, because when he gets to be my age, his fabrication skills are going to be far exceed where I'm at. So I'm excited for him and to see what might come of his skills as years go by. But I did want to touch a little bit back on the topic you talked about with a channel trailer, Jason, because I'm in that camp of I think I'm on my at least second, maybe third one, but I'm due for a refresh myself. And I think if you always think about, like, somebody may have stumbled upon one of your videos and they really fall in love with one video. Like for me, my most popular one is my lifted Jeep Liberty video. And so just thinking about how I find other channels, like sometimes it's through one video, but then you're like, okay, well, what is this channel about? Okay, they have this one cool video, and then you find out, oh, okay, well, this guy lifted a Jeep, but everything else is about gaming. I'm not really into gaming. I'm not going to subscribe. Well, like a trailer video is a great way is to just come straight out and tell somebody what to expect from your channel. This is what I intend to do. And this is the most, so people do find that, and you can have settings on your homepage channel where a different video comes up for returning subscribers versus new subscribers. So that's where you'd want to put your catch everybody's attention trailer video, and use your about page to supplement that. There's really an art to your about page. I know I definitely check those two things out when I go to new channels to see if it's going to be worth tracking someone long term or not. So I definitely second what you said, Jason, on that.
And I guess one thing I want to do to kind of segue into our channel shout outs, I know that we're kind of jumping ahead because we're kind of leaning into the time. I'm going to do my channel shout out a little bit early because it still falls within that trying to get guys up to the 1,000 subscriber mark. A fellow that I stumbled upon last year is a fellow who's only about an hour away from me, and he's got a channel sitting at 940 subscribers, and his channel name is Piston Junkies, and that's Junkeez. For Canadians, it's Z 302. So he's got a Mustang. It looks like it's about a 2015 Mustang V8, and he features a lot of that in his channel. He hasn't done a lot of posting recently. He did put a video up last month, but he's got a lot of great videos. There's a lot of shenanigans that go on his channel, and he has got some really good content and pretty good editing skills as well. So if you're into Mustangs and you're into shenanigans and you don't mind a little bit of swearing here and there, he's a great channel to watch because it really is funny, and it it really highlights the epitome of what rednecks are in New Brunswick. Now, granted, he's not. He's a very, very clean guy, but some of his friends probably you wouldn't want to get caught in a back alley with. But nevertheless, it's a very good channel, and some of the stuff they do is pretty fun. So go over and check out Piston Junkies, and we'll have that description down in the comment section below, guys. We've also got 16 people in the chat, and we've only got 9 thumbs up. So if you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, please go ahead and do so. And don't forget to share this out on your social media.
Well, and by the way, you are watching the CarrGuy and SixFan show, and did want to give a special shout out to the people that have jumped in since we did our first kind of acknowledgments of who's all in here. So Car Mods Garage, Mustang Guy 6501, Junk from Work, Humble One Travels, Classic Ride Society, and Boosted Rodeo Garage. Guys, welcome to the show. Glad you could make it. My channel shout out for this week's episode, I did want to give a oh gosh, I just realized that something didn't update in the Google Docs that I thought did, but the good news is actually the people I wanted to highlight was Boosted Rodeo Garage, who is in the chat here tonight. The production value those guys are putting into their videos is just certainly ahead of the curve in terms of the amount of subscribers they have. I mean, they do great work, very cinematic with their edits and stuff. Go check them out. They kind of have some fun with it too, as well. So just wanted guys, if you haven't had a chance to check out Boosted Rodeo Garage, get over there.
Yeah, and if you go back to a video that he just recently released, it's basically a cinematic based on being stuck in the snow, waiting for the spring to get here so you can drive your streetcar or your hot rod or whatever. Anyways, like Grant said, the production value is through the roof. It surprises me that this channel isn't bigger than it is, and it's really something that I think these guys they'll get noticed, and when they do, they'll go big very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it looks like the chat is already starting to reflect that same sentiment. So, well, guys, we whether by design or just out of being natural, we did run a little bit ahead of schedule, so we've got a good 5-6 minutes left, and maybe we'll go a little over. I don't know. It depends on what Jason wants to do, but maybe another 2 or 3 minutes if we can fit it in. But this is the time where we open up for questions for us. If you guys have anything you want to ask us, at least start thinking about it. Almost anything's fair game. If we really don't want to answer it, we won't answer it. But we try to touch about anything that you guys throw out there, car related or YouTube related. We're happy to share some ideas, conversation, whatever. Jason, was there any side topic that you wanted to kind of dip into?
Yeah, I did just for a second. So this past week, I did put a post on my Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, please go over there and do that too, because that's where I do a lot of little updates and teasers and this and that. But I did a request out to anybody who follows me on Instagram, which also posts on Twitter as well as my Facebook page, to help me reach that 4,000 watch hour goal, because right now as it sits, I'm happy to announce that I'm at 3606 on my hours, and so we were sub 400, trying to get up to that monetization value. And so if you got some spare time and you're cooking on the barbecue, or you're driving down the road and you just feel like you want to listen to an extra episode of Old Car Auto Guy, punch it on there and help me build up some of those hours over the next couple of weeks, because I believe at the current rate that I'm at, averaging somewhere between 20 and 30 hours a day, believe it or not. Thanks to some help from some guys out there who are trying to help me get those hours, that I should be just another couple of weeks to hit that 4,000 watch hours. So guys, I've got playlists. You can click play all if you're on your PC. If you're on your mobile device, then just pick a playlist and let it rip. Thank you.
So, Novitaz asks a question, Jason, about how do you pick your highlights for intros and things, and then I kind of asked him to clarify if he was talking about like for a trailer, channel trailer, or just sort of like just an intro into your weekly upload, and he says all of it. It's the hardest part for him, figuring out where to start. So it's kind of a complex question. I'll let you kind of bite into it first, because I think I might need a little time.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I try and focus on every video that I do. I don't always go into every video knowing exactly what I want to do that video about, but 9 times out of 10, yeah, I do. So, for instance, the video that went up today about doing the 0 to 60, if you know what the topic of the video you're doing, you can lead into that with a teaser or a catch that's going to allow somebody to get hooked and wait for it. So even if I don't do it at the beginning of the video, I'll always do it and make that my intro. Not everybody has an intro screen or a intro song or video. I do. I have one put together there, which I'm going to change up again as well. But the idea is that I can do a quick little 15, 20, 30-second lead into the video, have the intro, and then you jump right into the meat of everything. So the easiest thing sometimes is put your video together first. That way you know what your content is about. And I'm not saying go edit it, record it. Once you know what you've got for your recording, you can, because you're an editor, you can go and record after your video a little teaser. So for instance, Novitaz, when you were doing your junkyard series, the first trip out there, when you got to the counter, you I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but when you broke that certain part that you got back to the counter, you knew that as part of that video. So after the fact, you could have gone in and made a trailer or a teaser at the beginning saying something with regards to, I went to the junkyard today, I picked up a part I really needed, and I broke it. So stay tuned. Find out, just whatever you want to lead into that with. Sometimes, because we're editors, we can do anything with our videos. You can record it after the fact 3 or 4 days later and plug it in there at the beginning. So it's all about knowing what your video is about either beforehand or after, and you can always go back and make it happen.
Yeah, and that's good advice because I tend to try to work too linearly too much, and so I there's oftentimes I record my opening scene before I record anything else, and I don't really know how the day's going to go sometimes. Um, but it's just one of those things that I'm more worried about forgetting to do it that I just do it. So, but I always shoot those opening scenes you see. I probably average shooting. I never shoot less than 3 of them, and I can shoot anywhere up to like 8 of them. And those are, I mean, generally speaking, I don't think any more than 14, 15 seconds. They're probably mostly under 10. And usually it's like because I kind of know what I want to say, but then sometimes it doesn't come out right. And so I just force myself, I got to shoot it at least 5 times. So I make sure I have something good to pull from, so that's what I do. We did have one more question coming from Junk from Work, and we'll kind of end it here so we can shut down and be efficient with everybody's time and welcome Mike Swindell to this live stream. But the question from Junk from Work came in. It says he was thinking about adding Amazon links to my tool videos, and I'm struggling with it because I don't want to look like a shill. What do you guys think? Well, because my vocabulary probably isn't quite where it needs to be, I may not necessarily know the context of what you mean by shill, but I think you mean just trying to like clutter things up, be in people's face, try to feel like you're asking for money. I do Amazon associate links, and I think it's a great way. I think it's a very passive thing anyway. A lot of people skip over the description anyway, but I think if you're doing a tool review channel, that is like a must. I would
Absolutely.
I think you have to be doing Amazon associate links because a lot of people are watching your video to figure out if they want to buy this tool in the first place, and if they have made up their mind after watching your video, I want to buy this, then what better way than having a link right down below where they can execute that? Those are my thoughts. Jason, I'll turn it over to you for your thoughts on that topic, and then I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, and I would be inclined to agree once again with Grant to say that anytime that you're doing a tool review or a product review or you're showing somebody how a certain thing works, it's always beneficial to the person watching for you to put a link there, whether it's an associate link or an affiliate link or whatever. List a link because people see you using it. They're going to want to do the same thing if they like your presentation. And I mean, geez, man, we know how good you are with talking about the products that you use, whether you like them or you don't. So you do a really good job with it. You need to get those down there, the links of where you got it. So if it's an Amazon or an eBay or whatever link, whether you're making money off of it or not, you got to get that information down there in your description because people are looking for it. So having said all that, guys, we really appreciate everyone sticking around. I think I saw the watching numbers get up to about 21 or 22 this week. We appreciate everybody coming on and taking this half hour out of your week. We know that everybody's busy and everyone's life gets in the way sometimes of silly little things like the little show that we do, but we really appreciate you taking the time out and watching us. I believe we are down to 2 more episodes, Grant. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, before we take our little hiatus. And then we're going to be taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I don't know, we've officially settled on it's no more than 2.
Yeah, so we got a couple more to do. We'll do next week for sure, and then likely the week after, and then we are taking a few weeks of a break and returning back probably likely near the end of June. I've got my young fella graduating. There's got a lot of things going on over the first few weeks in June there, family and all that stuff. So we'll be back with you with season 2. I hope you can stick around and join us. We are changing a few things up a little bit, so I hope you stick around for that, guys. I end every one of my videos by saying stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. We love you guys. God bless. Let's do it again next week.